Hey guys, I'm Aaron at MacKite. Welcome to our show this morning. We are joined by Brendan Healy with Cabrinha. And what we wanted to talk about today was the upcoming, yesterday, release of the 2026 Cabrinha Mantis Apex wing. And so what I want to do is introduce Brendan to y'all, and I've got some questions for him, and let Brendan get going with the goods on this. Brendan, give us a quick intro about yourself.
Sure. Yeah. I'm a sales manager for Cabrinha down here in Miami. I've been with the brand for 8 years now. Predominantly, obviously in sales, but we have like a pretty small, tight knit group, so we kind of do a little bit of everything. All of us are testing products. All of us are giving feedback. All of us are kind of. I would say it's a cool group because it's a very flat group. There's anybody from customer service to the CEO. We're all giving input on products, and we're all working together. It's a very inclusive group. So it's cool. Anyway, just a little bit of everything, but most. Yeah.
Well, you guys do such a good job, Brendan. It's amazing, and
I appreciate it, man.
It's apparent because you do have different levels of, some brands are what we might think of as very, very corporate in structure. Not that you guys aren't. That you don't have a corporate structure, but it's like, when you have all players in the game can take the ball and run with it, that's an inclusive. Nobody is too distant from the retailer or the customer. You're all very, very focused on that end result experience for the end user, for the customer, ultimately on the beach, and that's cool. And that shows through with everything that you guys do, from product development all the way to communicating. And like, I know I can email you, and I can almost hit my stopwatch and know that you're gonna, within reason. It might take a couple of minutes, but you're usually very, very responsive, and that's a representative of your whole team. Everybody that we communicate with over there at Cabrinha is absolutely awesome.
Definitely. No, seriously, thank you so much, man. Yeah, we definitely, pride ourselves on being, rubbing shoulders with literally everybody. So we just want to be the friendly, easy people to talk to on the beach or in the office, whatever, man. We're doing this stuff because we love it too. So.
And that's evident, man. It absolutely is. Well, talk to us about the this new Mantis wing, the Mantis Apex.
Totally.
I've got some talking points here that we outlined here, and so we were kind of curious about traditional Aluula designs and usage versus the Mantis Apex approach.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Funny. It's something we've kind of been honestly developing this one for the past 3 years or so. The Mantis has been kind of like a staple in the Cabrinha wing line since, I guess, since 2022 is when we first rolled that thing out. But obviously Aluula's been out there for a bit. This is our first Aluula wing product.
Yeah.
And we kind of, we held back from the Aluula scene for a little bit, just predominantly due to the price, honestly.
Sure.
And we just weren't entirely certain how the market would really react to, really high priced wings.
Yeah.
Obviously, it got to the point where, you kind of had to have Aluula in your lineup, or else you're almost viewed as, not really partaking in the higher end products, in the market. So, but basically, we tried a couple different variations of this, from full Aluula to only Aluula in the leading edge to only Aluula in the strut. Basically what we settled on was a full Aluula strut, and then it's essentially about a third in the leading edge. So it's really where the strut meets the leading edge, and then I would say probably 18 inches on either side.
Beyond it, yep.
Really, and then beyond that, we're using basically traditional Dacron.
Cool.
And what we found is that, man, by doing that, you get all of the benefits that Aluula bring you, meaning, obviously the weight reduction. Sure. But really, more than anything, is just the stiffness in the whole frame. And what we found is that by actually taking Aluula out of the wingtips, sometimes with Aluula wings, they actually get super stiff.
Too stiff, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So stiff that you can't really. It's just for varying conditions. Like if it gets a little lighter, you're not getting the most performance out of it because the wing isn't naturally flexing and opening the way that it should. particularly on the wingtips. So we found that, that was a big benefit. And then obviously, the other huge benefit for the consumer is the cost savings. You cut a couple $100 for the consumer by just, by just putting traditional Dacron on the wingtips. And it turns out there's really no negative to it. So that was a win.
Well, it looks like we're sitting there, retail wise, the 4 meters right at what, $16.79.
Right.
And a 4.5 at $17.79 and a 5.5 at $19.39. I'm just checking your site stats.
Yeah.
And that's, like you say, it's hard to find that balance and what does the market really want? That's a tough one, dude, because you have to have, like you say, you have to have the offering, and you may not want to go, overboard with it. You want to maybe play a little conservative initially to see how that's going to be received. But there's always that person that wants to reach for the top shelf item no matter what. Similar with carbon fiber, carbon fiber is sexy. Aluula is sexy. And it's just one of those things that, and some of the buyers, some of the people that are buying these wings, they're not going to ever outperform that. The capability of the wing itself. They probably, again, we get caught up sometimes. We always, we want to reach for the best available option in our mind. And so, you absolutely have to play in the Aluula game a little bit and see what comes of it from season to season. But I like what you did with the, like you say, on the I think Tucker called it the kind of a T section there with the strut where it comes together on the leading edge and about 18 inches or so past the midline. And it looks really well done and still obviously giving some twist in the wingtips. You don't want to entirely take that away.
Right.
So that's the recipe, right? I'm sure you guys have messed with that quite a bit. Who designed the Mantis wing?
Yes, it was actually fully designed in the gorge. Our wing designer Brody Sutherland lives out there, and he did it all. He's done all of the Mantis to date, but obviously a lot of feedback comes from like I said in the very beginning, from kind of everywhere, from programs all the way up to to the team, and Tituan Galea had a lot of input in that as well.
That's cool.
But I mean, it's an interesting concept because we only make it in 3 sizes. It's only in the 4.5 and the 5.5, and that decision we put specifically in the hands of the designer. We basically said, we kind of approached it and said, we want to do this on a limited basis, meaning we're only bringing about 120 wings into the United States altogether, total.
Right.
And when they're gone, they're gone. It's a limited edition specialty product. So we basically approached Brody and just said, hey, if you had, which ones are the best, which size of the full range? I mean, he experimented honestly from a 2 meter all the way up to a 6. So he just said with half sizes in between. So quite a few different sizes. And he said, these 3 are the ones that get the most performance out of it. So
I agree with that as a retailer. I think that you guys hit that right on the spot. And I know our wing team would agree with that well. 4, 4.5, 5.5. Great offering. I'm sure somebody could complain about not having an actual 5 meter in there, but man, I think that's a pretty darn good offering.
I appreciate
that you guys came up with.
The 4.5 that's a funny one. It's my favorite size of all the wings that we make. It's a sneaky size. It's not. It sounds a little too small for some people. I think your average run of the mill winger probably gravitates towards a 5 meter size.
Sure.
But man, the 4.5 it's just the wingspan itself is a little bit more compact, but you still get so much power out of it.
Yeah.
I would highly encourage anybody who's traditionally using a 5 meter to take that half step down, because I think you get all the performance out of it and just a little bit more easy to use.
Would you say that, Brendan, across the line then, the 4.5 and the 5.5, would you recommend that, a customer, hey, if you're used to, just drop down a half size beyond what you're used to?
I would say so.
Is that a fair?
I mean, you just get, and like we said with the Aluula stuff, you just get so much stiffness in the frame that, when you're pumping a 5.5, you'll find that you don't necessarily need to take that step up to like a 6, for example.
Yeah.
You get the performance out of it, and it's a smaller package. It's just easier to use.
Yeah, it can handle it. Yep.
Yeah.
That's cool. How about the boom versus handle compatibility? What were you guys thinking when you addressed that?
Yeah, totally. So it seems like, for the most part, I think the whole industry is gravitating now towards booms, just across the board. And that's, honestly, after having used both of them pretty extensively, I personally like the boom a lot now too. Saying that the Mantis Apex will ship basically with 2 handles just pre-installed. We do have a boom option. It's called the handlebar. Super easy, just 2 screws right on. So you just take the handles off, put the boom on. But what's nice, something that I didn't really initially think about, but so Brody eventually, he initially designed this thing to be used with handles. So designing the strut and the entire wing and the canopy and the whole frame to be used with independent handles, and that is going to put a little bit of stress on the actual strut. But when you take the boom and you're basically mounting just a piece of hard component to an already pretty stiff strut, it instantly increases dramatically the stiffness of the entire thing. It's basically like mounting a piece of rebar on it,
Yep.
Obviously a little lighter than that. But
yeah.
It's crazy, but you don't think you go to a boom for ease of use, but then it actually translates to significantly more performance because the wing wasn't really designed necessarily to the used like that. So you just put more stiffness into it. So anyway, if you're looking for just like ultimate performance, I think that's the.
And it's funny as you're saying that, and I have yet to get my hands on the Air. I do like the thought of a lightweight platform, meaning the wing in itself inflated to the recommended PSI, holding that wing, it just seems incredibly light. And then when you look at portability, I like to have my gear packed down super small because I keep it with me at all times. And so I take things out of the manufacturer's bags when I get all my drifters are in. You remember the old Dacron compression sacks, right? You remember the 4-size set? I still have those. I love those. I can pack my drifters down so small and keep them in the back of my car, again, at all times. And so when I look at something like the Air, I'm looking at that. I'm considering that. I'm like, well, okay, I don't have anything. There's no pinch points when I'm packing this thing down. I'm gonna do it in a methodical way. I'm not just gonna stuff it, but I'm gonna roll it up nice and compact, and put it into a compression bag at the very least, and keep it compact. But I like the thought of that. And then the handles, it's that old school feel. Old school as winging can be, but it's interesting the 3 different directions in this, and it seems like boom is getting a lot of question and a lot of attention. Rigid handles second. It seems like the soft handles are almost starting to go by the wayside, but there's still a contingent of people who are very hell bent on keeping that vibe, keeping the soft handles, keeping the windowless design, portable, packable, lightweight. And I guess I would, as a newbie to winging, still consider myself kind of in that camp, but and maybe it depends on what you're doing. If you're a freestyle guy, boom might be your vibe, especially if you're doing any kind of rotation where you're passing the wing. That just kind of makes sense. And then single handing it, the balance point, you can kind of find the balance point if you're drifting down the line on a wave. But then, if the handle installation points have been laid up correctly, you can usually find that even with the 2 rigid handles set up as well. And I know the guys were loving the Air. Wing team was like, this is an awesome wing for chasing swell, and soft handles and all. They were like, man, this thing just floats and is so well behaved behind you going down the line. And so it is interesting. And you guys, as the manufacturer, have to man, you're catching feedback from your pros, from your reps, your retailers, from customers you're talking to on the beach, and you're trying to assess, well, what the hell handle configuration do we go with here? And man, it seems like those three options are still very viable for. I'm curious to see what that percentage would break down to in a profile of customers. What would you prefer? And or maybe there's people that do both because they want certain handles for a specific style of riding. But I'm glad that you guys have that option, though. And again, that almost seems like another one of the things where, well, if you're producing wings, you have to have a boom option as well. It's kind of an expected thing now.
Yeah.
And you had, let's see, we were talking about having a hard leading edge handle paired with the Aluula airframe for better control of the wing. What are your thoughts about that?
Man, I love that thing. I think we introduced that in 2023. I'm honestly a little surprised that some other brands haven't hopped on that. It totally seems like, as far as I know, it seems like we're still the only ones running that thing.
Yeah.
Man, it's incredible. You have so much control over that thing in the waves, or even if you're like, for example, if you're just sitting on your board and like a relative like newbie who's just like kind of getting into it, you can just literally have one hand on the wing and just push the leading edge down into the water, like as rotation, and stability as you're getting to your feet on your board. And that's something that rigid front handle really, it's a really nice feature. It offers not only just control of the wing from the leading edge, but also a little bit more ease of use for your, somebody who's kind of just getting into the sport. So it's pretty cool. I after having used that as much as we have, I don't think I would ever.
Sure. And it's not like it's adding, I mean, obviously it probably weighs, for those gram counters out there, it probably weighs a little bit more, but it's at the fulcrum point. It's not way out on the strut anywhere. It's not like it's adding weight and messing with the ability for that wing to drift. It's in your hand at the balance point. I agree. I think that seems like a no-brainer as well. And the ability to control it, if it is kind of, flipping, even when you're walking with your gear on the beach, sometimes, your wing can start to, flutter back and forth. And that seems, you can just manhandle it for lack of a better term there, and keep it in control. Yeah. That makes sense, dude. That's good call.
It's genuinely, it's super nice. And the other side of it too is it is removable. It's just two little screws. So if you're a racer and you really are chasing, aerodynamics, just take the sucker off.
Totally.
And like you said, for traveling, if you really want to pack that thing down super small, you take all the handles off and you just have a soft wing. It's pretty great.
Heck yeah. That makes sense, dude. I'm glad you guys did that. That is one of those, again, it's like these little things, these little 1 to 3% change or adaptation or modification. It can give such a good positive result in the end, and that seems good. And then next up, you guys decided not to use the Sprint inflation system here, and I think a lot of people like that too, from the standpoint of you might want different PSI in your strut and your leading edge. Or maybe there's some people that do the quick pack, and just deflate the leading edge and do a quick wrap and, throw it in the back of your truck or your van or whatever, something, leave the strut inflated. So exactly. I think that makes a lot of sense. And then, dude, safety standpoint, right? Like if you do need some buoyancy offshore someplace and you're at least, that you got two options. The leading edge is inflated, the strut is inflated. It's highly unlikely that both of them are going to go down.
Right.
So that's, just adding that all up. I think that was a great move.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. We got a lot of feedback, and honestly, people give us feedback, whether it's retailers or customers, and we genuinely listen. A lot of that was basically retailer based, saying, hey, we're seeing more interest in some that are just independent chambers, meaning they don't have that Sprint system. So give the people what they want, I guess.
And it's a point of failure, right? And some people complain about maybe accidentally, as they're handling the wing, grabbing the sprint system and pop it accidentally and can deflate the whole damn wing right there in the water. And that's a nice soggy swim in if you've ever had to do that. I haven't, knock on wood, but I could see where it could happen. And so I see why people are doing it. How about the fiberglass mini battens in the trailing edge?
Yeah, that's again new with 2026. We definitely, so from 2024 we didn't have any battens in the trailing edge. It honestly, it didn't take away from the performance of that wing at all. We did a couple little tweaks to just the cord length overall. So with that, we kind of found that we needed battens.
Sure.
For 2025, we had some soft battens in there that basically, they're not really zip ties, per se.
Sure, yeah, right.
I'm sure the average person would be like, "Oh, this is just a zip tie in my wing," but no, they're a little stiffer than that. But these are significantly stiffer. It's a fiberglass batten. There's two of them on either side. And man, it just cleans up the exit on the canopy. It just makes the canopy like glass smooth, and just a nicer overall airframe. Yeah, it doesn't really add much weight at all. I mean, honestly, it's kind of negligible, but it was definitely makes the product perform significantly better.
Yep. And like you say, man, it's just those little improvements, 1% here, 2% here, that gives the overall ride quality a big boost. How are people using this wing, or how do you anticipate people to use it? Is this is a great all-arounder, right? I mean, this is something that you've kind of designed in a way to be appealing to free ride, surf, freestyle. You got a little bit of everybody out there. What are your thoughts on all of that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, honestly, I think starting with like surf, that's we live in Miami. Miami doesn't really get a reputation for having waves, but shockingly enough, I think it's kind of underappreciated for that.
Yeah.
But I'm spending most of the time riding waves here, and it's incredible, man. It's like you said, it's light, it's stiff. You have that hard leading edge handle. You have a ton of control over it. So it drifts incredibly well just because it is significantly lighter. And like I said, you just have so much control over this thing. So I think for your wave rider, they're really going to appreciate just the extra stiffness they get and the power and drive when you need it in critical areas and waves. There's a section where you might be riding and you're like, I need to be in that section now. And you just have so much power out of this thing. I mean, the Mantis, it's a powered up wing. It's been known to be like a pretty powerful direct drive tool.
Yeah, like always. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So if you have somebody who's just they want to get the maximum performance, just free ride, or even light wind, you have so much stiffness in the frame. I mean, like you're saying, it's a pretty great all rounder. I would say for a relative newbie, it's probably not the greatest choice just because it is super powered up.
Sure.
But, we have other options for that in the Vision and like we were mentioning before, the Air.
Yeah.
So I think, it's definitely, it's an Aluula product. We chose the Mantis specifically to plug Aluula into it because it's a higher performance product. Yep. So somebody looking to just get a little bit more performance out of what they already have, that's the way to do it. Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, and I'm sure you guys, as you are R&Ding, you're like, well, do we add Aluula here to this wing? Do we, add, where do you stop? I like what you did though. It seems smart. Put it on. Is it safe to call the Mantis the flagship? I think so. Yeah. Okay. So it's basically, I would call it our switchblade of wings for
sure. Perfect. Yeah. And then experiment and see how that goes. And like you said, you guys are doing a limited run. You got about a total of 100 units being brought into the U.S. market. Mm-hmm. That's in all. That's encompassed. That's the 4, 4.5, and 5.5 altogether. 100 wings.
And then the benefit too is there's nothing to say that's as of now we don't really have plans to do another round of production of that.
Yeah.
But depending on, how the feedback comes and if customers really like it, if they sell well, then it's pretty easy to just push the button again and make some more, or, get some other sizes incorporated in there as well. So it's by doing the limited production run, it's an easy way to sort of test the market's overall
Totally.
perception of this and how it, and what people's reactions are and what they like about it.
Yeah.
And we can take feedback from that and keep going.
Yep. That's cool. That makes sense. And it limits your risk, just test it out, see what's going on here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think things are moving pretty fast in our world these days, with everything. I mean, from new foil shapes to new electric components, new electric products to para-wings to downwind boards to downwind shapes to new wings. I mean, it goes so fast.
Yeah.
So it seems like you just have to be very nimble, and it's a change that every brand has to make. You just have to you have to make these smart decisions that allow you to be quick on your feet.
And like, how far out? Yeah. How much do we expand the line? It's like we can. That is such a. I'm sure you guys are racking your brains quite often trying to predict what the market is going to have a demand for and at what length. And you don't want to overextend yourself, but you want to make sure that you're offering everything. And I think this makes sense with this size range in an Aluula wing. Man, it looks fun. And like you say, you've done it with your flagship model, something that everybody's familiar with and has such a good positive feedback with. So we'll be looking forward to the feedback from our customers as they're getting their hands on these wings and then giving you guys feedback from there. I know I was just cutting some footage from Tucker yesterday. He was out using it, and he was actually testing it in light wind with some of the electronic products like you're talking about, just to see. So it wasn't a. I think he was actually had plenty of wind because he was only doing that just to see if he could get it, see how that board would react with an electronic assist and then get going. He didn't need that, once he was up and going. So I need to ask him what was the wind range you were riding in? Because once he was up, it looked like it was plenty powered. Like it didn't look like he was struggling, at all. So I feel like he had good wind that he was in and having a good demo scenario to really put that wing, the Mantis Apex, through his paces, and give it a rip.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I was cutting the footage, but I haven't talked to him in person to see what that looks like. So I'll be stoked to hear that. In closing, do you have any other things that you want to talk about? Did you want to drop any hints about? Is there?
Yeah, for sure.
What other?
I mean, honestly, this is obviously a very small product drop for us, just being one product in 3 sizes, but it is at the same time, it fits in really well with our overall wing line. This is now we're up to 4 options between the Mantis Apex, the standard Mantis, the Vision, and the Air. So it really serves to round out the wing, the whole product line very well. But this is one of what will be a 2-part drop for us in the next couple weeks. Pretty exciting stuff to come. I won't go too much detail, but it goes under your board. And it, a pretty cool partnership and design collaboration with a very, very well-known designer. And I know Tucker's got one now. He's been using it. Yep. And we've been passing a couple along kind of around the country, really, to some pretty high-level riders and prominent retailers. And the feedback has been just
it's good.
I genuinely never would have expected the feedback to be that good.
Yeah.
I don't want to overhype it, but just saying there will be another thing that will in the hydrofoil space that'll drop from us in probably in like mid-September or so is what we're shooting for. So
we're looking forward to that, and maybe we'll see some of that at KOGL.
Yeah, absolutely. You will definitely, without a doubt, you will see it there.
Awesome. We can't talk about it until
exactly.
I'm stoked.
We're going to give the full rundown.
Yep, it's highly anticipated. Looks amazing. Can't say much more there, but we're stoked as well, man. And I'm stoked for you guys. You're gonna have a good product there.
No, thank you very much, man. Well, like I said, we're beyond excited with like the feedback on the Mantis Apex, and then the feedback on this next product is just it's a great package. Pretty happy with it.
Well, Brendan, hey man, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thanks
Well,
for
thank you,
joining us this
man.
morning.
Seriously, it's always great catching up with you guys, and I seriously appreciate it, and really appreciate the check in, and all the
Yeah.
positive vibes from you guys. You guys are always great at that, man. Thank you.
And right back at you, my dude. And to our customers, viewers, listeners, if you have questions about the Mantis Apex, please do not hesitate to reach out. We're always happy to help. I'll leave some links in the description below where you can drop us a line. And in closing, hey, thank you so much. Hope you guys have a good rest of your season. Stand by for this Mantis Apex. It dropped yesterday. We'll be having reviews and more content out on that here shortly. And so good to hear from y'all. Brendan, thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, man.
Hope to see y'all. Yeah, I hope to see y'all out there on the water.
See you guys.